Hello, community. Donna Schmid with Eyes Wide Open. Today is channeling day with Michelle Blazer. Hey, we really had a great session today. We're continuing now to talk about self-love. And I got to channel and Angel Metatron. And it was fascinating as I listened back to the recording of all the great things he had to say and share. So I hope you enjoy. We certainly did. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I always tend to forget that. So please save me. Like, share, and subscribe. All right. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi, community. This is Donna Schmid, and you are watching Eyes Wide Open. Tonight, Michelle Blazer and I are going to do another channeling sessions. And this week, Michelle is going to introduce a topic of conversation. Go ahead, Michelle, you're on.
All right, thanks, Donna. Glad to be here with you tonight. I was really noticing a lot during the week, and I know we mentioned that in our last podcast, like everything we were taking in, we're like, oh my goodness, now we're going to have to prove if we learned the lesson or not. So it just brought it to my awareness about the lack of self-love and self-care, and also this thing I'm learning about called people pleasing, and it's kind of along the lines of when we want to be kind and loving, but we end up being a doormat because we never say no. We overexert ourselves. We're always tired, especially if we're mothers and women and trying to do all that. Where's that balance? How can we not be a people pleaser and be more in our own energy and not feel awful about it? And I just wondered if maybe they would have some advice for us around that.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
All right, awesome.
Let's tap in and see. Okay, I have Archangel Metatron with us this evening. Greetings. We are happy to delve deeper into your questions from the previous times together. This is a very deep exploration that we are about to begin, for it is not such an easy and simple way to correct what is really in the hearts of the energetic field for each person. When you talk about people pleasing, that is a very human experience and a very, let's say, touchy subject, because those that get into that phase of wanting to please, really it's from a deep place that began way back into possibly childhood, maybe even past lives. But we'll keep it here in this lifetime because sometimes it does continue on. So if we talk about certain things, it might spark a memory. As children, we tend to want to please our parents, please our teachers, please our friends, because we get a lot of reward for that. And the reward is in outside love, companionship, admiration. And that sometimes will continue on from childhood all the way up into adulthood. And here it's where it becomes very complicated because it becomes very rooted in the mental structure of the human. And by that, I mean what has begun and become a pattern is now something that just replays like an old record. on an old record machine or a tape that just rewinds. And so sometimes we tend to do that, even though we know that it is not beneficial to us. So you are correct in saying that we make time for other people, but don't make time for ourselves. And I speak this as not as, of course, I'm not human. I speak this as in relating to the human physiology. So what can we do? What can we do to alleviate being trapped in this repeated pattern? It is becoming more consciously aware when the pattern begins. When the pattern develops, is it when someone asks something of you and you have this deep, deep sensation deep within you that is almost like a pull or a draw, magnetizing away, pulling your energy to comply. And when you comply, there's great joy on the other side. But if you do not comply, what ends up happening is then you're faced with the wrath of, well, why not? Why not? Why not? And so then you're faced with having to explain something that you can't even explain because you just know that it is not resonating energetically with you, and you're not having a sensation of wanting to participate and reciprocate in energy. However, you don't have the words, you don't have the know-how in order to say or reply in such a way that you still feel good about yourself. Donna knows of a sentence that is so short and yet straight to the point. And it is only 2 letters, but they're very powerful, powerful letters. Before I share with you her sentence, that is a sentence all by itself, I want to be able to share with you something that we have witnessed in the angelic realm when humans get into this pattern that I spoke about earlier. And that is, what is on your plate that you already have? Do you have any room to put anything else on it? Think about a plate of food, and you have a section for maybe your vegetables and a section for your protein and a section for your fats and maybe even a section for your fruits. And the plate is full. It is so full that it's even creating mounds of food over it. And even thinking about this sends an energetic vibration throughout your body that it is too much. It's too much. And if you ingest all of that, your body will somehow reject it in many ways, maybe with a stomach ache to let you know that it was too much, too much. And yet the same thing happens when you're asked of things and you do this people-pleasing routine and it's too much. And you even feel it in the pit of your stomach as if you ate a whole plate of food. Think about that plate when someone asks you to do something, even though it is not beneficial to you. So think about these things. And when I say think, it is ask yourself a question. Is this something that you can do? Are you capable of doing it? Do you have the know-how to do what it is that you're being asked of? And if you say yes, that's great. Go on to the second question. Ask yourself, do I have the time to do this? And look at your plate. What would you have to remove from your plate to make room for this new thing that you're about to do for someone else? And if you have room and you can take something off, then by all means, make the decision then if you would like to complete doing whatever it is that you're being asked to do. And if not, if you have no room, then Donna's sentence comes in. And it's very simple. And you don't have to say it in such a way that provokes discord. But the sentence is no. And it's always followed with a, but thank you. And that's it. If you are pressured in any way to explain yourself, you don't have to. And this is something that people pleasers really need to grasp. And that is, you do not have to explain yourself. You are honoring yourself, honoring your time that you have an existence in this human form, honoring your time that you spend with family or friends, honoring what you already have going in your world that is taking a lot of your so-called time to complete it. When you remove something and you make room for something else, then that's fine. And if you're willing to do it and you can do it, then by all means, make the choice of being able to do it. And you can even let it sit with you for just a bit and see how that feels within your chakra system, within your energy field. Does it feel congruent? Then you're able to make a better choice and decision. If there's something just filling up inside of you, like eating that whole plate of food that we just shared with you, and it's feeling uncomfortable, then by all means, say no. Thank you. Does that help? You have questions? Thoughts?
Yes, thank you, Metatron. Thank you so much. You were answering my questions as you were speaking. You know, it was such a nice flow of answering those questions, and I'm sure was everyone else's hearts too. The most difficult part about all of that and navigating that successfully is the people that you have to say no to, and sometimes it's relationships that have to end, and that's so difficult because we feel like we're being mean and hurtful and not the light that we want to be, that we know we are, and it's such a discrepancy. Like, how can we navigate that better feeling inside of us?
Good question. And if we can put it in the most simplest forms as we possibly can, that yes, when it involves someone that's very close to you, either in personal relationships or in family, that it is and becomes most difficult. However, think about as far as family goes, that sometimes we do have to stick up for ourselves, so to speak. And and saying no is not such a bad thing. It is honoring yourself, honoring where you stand in the relationships. And if they try to pull you down, then you're not honoring yourself. And no thank you it is enough. You remember, you do not have to explain. It is just enough. And when you realize that that is honoring yourself, then the other person as well feels that energy. They will not pressure after that because they too feel that. And if anything, they will be so shocked and surprised because you are responding in a way that you usually don't respond. And so that in and of itself will take them back a little bit. As far as friends go, ask yourself this. What friend would not want you to honor yourself? Sometimes in the awakening process, becoming fully aware that we're operating in old patterns that do not serve us anymore, sometimes it is possible that we separate from those that are no longer energetically compatible. And so when one leaves, another one comes that matches your energy vibration. So there is a sense of improving yourself or enlightening yourself as each time you learn something about the patterns within you that have created your personality, that have created the way you respond and react to certain things. And when you begin to recognize that these patterns do not work for you anymore, you begin to learn new ones. And then you can test those and learn how to eloquently deliver them without offending anyone, and yet still keeping your vibration and your frequency stronger so that you're not falling back into those old ways.
Mm, Thank
Conscious
you.
awareness is the biggest thing. Being consciously aware of when it happens.
Thank you. Thank you, Metatron. And I love the analogy you gave us about our plate being full and what can we fit on our plate. And I kept thinking back to times where my plate was full, but I didn't know what to take off, right? And are there like staples on our plate, like as a being, is like self-care one of those? Like what should be our foundation and then fill our plate up?
Mhm. Yes. If we go back to the plate analogy and we mark the plate off like you would a pie, and you can cut the pie into half and then cut it into fourths and then cut it again and then cut it again so that we have equal pie shapes around the plate. Then if you can put in the things that mean the most to you, things that you are exuberant about, things that you need to have so that you can operate and live in the human existence in this third dimension. So, for instance, one might be career or work section, another might be family, another might be health, another one might be mental wellness, another one might be spiritual development. It might be, and you go on to and fill up each of those high sections with the things that are prevalent in your life, the things that mean something to you. And then you can look at that pie chart and see the center of it as being, say, a zero. And then as you look from that place out, it becomes a 10, say. And then you look at it and look at each section, for instance, and look at family. Where in that pie section do you feel balanced? Where you're giving out energy and you're receiving energy. It's an even flow. Is it a 10, which is perfect, if you will, or the most at this particular point in your existence? Or is it a 5 where most of the time you're giving to family and most of the time you are receiving back? Where is it in that section? And just put a little mark on that section and go around this pie chart and do each of the sections of pie in the different categories and mark it. And then when you look at this wheel, does it make a nice circle when you connect those dots? Or is it unbalanced at all? And if it is, where in that pie chart could you stand to improve? Is it family with relationships that you'd like it to be more like an 8 so that it lines up with the next pie section? You decide. And then you focus on that section and what things can you do to improve those relationships so that that energy that you're exerting comes back to you. What things can you do? Ask yourself what things. And then that's how you keep it in balance. And something might be off. Maybe your health and wellness might be off. Sometimes with people that are not doing the self-love and not taking care of their physical form in the form of wellness, and maybe even spirituality could be coupled in with that. So what can you do to increase that vibration in that particular pie section? Would it be taking a class? Would it be in creating friendships with people that of like mind that are maybe studying and interested in the same things you are? There are many groups of different topics that you could participate in that are on in social media alone, and that could give you some ideas and maybe some classes. Where could you improve upon that? And then do so that it moves up, energetically moves up into the 8. And what you may notice is that when you improve in one section, it has an effect in other sections. So if you improve in maybe your self-care section, then you'll notice that in the family section, that is beginning to improve as well. Maybe it's beginning to improve in the partnership section as well. So you'll notice that each of them do have an effect on the other. So when someone comes along and asks you to do something, those sections in that pie have more meaning and more purpose for you. And you'll really think about, and that thing that they're asking of me, that I put that in a particular pie section. Would it be spirituality? Would it be in family? Would it be in relationships? What is that like now? Would it take away from that, or would it add to it? And if it adds to it, then your choice and decision if you should do it or not is much easier than if you were scrambling and stealing time and stealing from other sections to create. Does that help?
Oh, yes, very much so. Thank you so much. I love the descriptions and the imagery you use because I'm just following along with you, and I've never in my life even considered that, how we can give to everybody and then we're depleted. And so then the other areas that are very important to us, to our hearts, are suffering because we can't say no in that area. And that just really opened my eyes um, to be looking at my pie chart now. I think everyone listening is going to, sit down and make their pie chart and see, where you're out of balance, because I think I could just feel better just thinking about it. So I thank you so much for that. And just wondered if you had any other advice before you leave to how to navigate this, the energies coming in the planet this week. I know the image, the top self-love and self-care has come up so much because it's so needed right now with all this chaos of the energies coming in. Is there any advice you have for that?
Um, well, we can look at it not from a personal perspective, but we could use that pie plate analogy and spread it to the whole world. So we could have a section for the turmoil in the Eastern countries. We can have a section for the political issues. We could have a section for the homeless. Whatever you're concerned about, food shortage, um, the climate change, wherever it is that is most important to you. And you can put that in your global pie chart and do the same thing. Look at it and look and see where in those sections that maybe you could make a difference. And if those sections are stealing too much of your energy, well, then you've got to come back. And if you put self-care in that pie chart as well, you'll go back to the self-care. And again, when you do take care of yourself, it has an effect all the way around. And let me explain that in the most minute detail that is so profound. And that is when you do those things, you carry it within your energy field, within your aura. And wherever you go, whether it's the store or your church or your synagogue or the post office, you are carrying that energy and it is beaming out of you and it has an effect on everyone in the vicinity. And if you don't think so, I want to point out something that that even Donna noticed, and that was you're walking in an open area from the parking lot to the store, and she smelled someone smoking a cigarette. She smelled the smoke of the cigarette, and it was putrid to her senses. And she looked around to see where that was coming from. And lo and behold, it was far on the other side of the parking lot. And yet that smoke had found its way to her senses of smell, and she smelt it, and she was alerted to it. And it's the same thing in your energy as you are going and walking in public area, even in nature. That energy is beaming out, and it could be way across the parking lot that someone is being touched by. And who knows? Who knows what changes that could have an effect on that person, that family, that spirituality, that self care, because it is resonating within them. And who's to say they might just wake up one day and say, you know, I probably should do something nice for myself today. Maybe take a bubble bath. So you don't necessarily have to know or do anything except yourself, because that has an enormous effect on everything and everyone around you.
That's amazing. You actually just answered the last question I wrote down was what can we do as light workers? Like, what's the most important thing, like as a group, that we should focus on in the world? Because there's so many topics to to care about it and everything. And you just said it beautifully, just that our light is, am I hearing you right? That it's just our light that we need to spread wherever we go.
Yes, yes. And remember, it's not a do, it is just a be. So if you take care of yourself, you're in that state of being.
The state of being.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
I
can
think we,
focus. You can focus. You know, if you want to, if you have a friend or someone that you know that is ill feeling, you can focus that energy to them and ask for blessings for them and ask for them for healing. Of course, you're focusing that what direction, but not to attach yourself to it. Just focus it. You're aware of it, and then allow it to come back and spread out again, just by being.
yes. Yeah, I always wondered, and I'd love to ask you, as light workers, how can we spread our love out, yet also protect it and keep it in? It seems hard to understand when to let it out and when to stay in our bubble. And shouldn't we always have a bubble around us? I don't know how to word that better. Maybe you understand.
In human language, they're called boundaries. They're called boundaries. So if you consider your own home, you have boundaries. You have your property doesn't go and expand to the whole county. It has a certain width and length that is considered your property, and it has boundaries. So some people put fences up to acknowledge that boundary. Some people in some areas have no fencing. It's just kind of rolls into the next neighbor and the next neighbor and so on and so forth. So it's the same thing with your energy field. It should have strong boundaries. And those are decided upon what it is that you can tolerate. Those are the things that, for instance, if you don't like when people speak derogatory comments, then you could have that in your boundary system where I don't accept that. I don't accept that. As soon as you say, I don't accept that, or think I don't accept that, the shield is up. It's right there. You can still hear it. You can still be aware of it. You can still be conscious of it. You don't have to put your head in the sand, but the boundary is up. I do not accept that. I do not. Even if you place your hands up, I do not. And you have the choice past that if you want to turn and go the opposite direction, or even just to say, I don't do that. We can engage in a conversation, but I do not accept that. And if that is something that you are not able to do at this time, I accept that and we'll continue this at a later date, a time when we both can speak kindly to each other. You set the boundaries, whatever those boundaries are. You set them, because everyone's boundaries are different. Some people, they engage in derogatory comments for fun, and it's not judging. It's just they just enjoy that, and it raises their vibration. You just don't have to engage in that if it is not part of your boundaries.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense in a lot of different areas of our lives with friends and families and our careers, you know, boundaries on what we'll tolerate at work. That's it's almost like you gave us permission to be in our power to have those boundaries. So
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Hmm. Is there anything else that you have for us tonight that I haven't asked you? I just feel so in awe of everything you've said thus far that I'm still taking it all in.
He says he's honored that we have invited him in the space to share, and looks forward to returning. Thank you. And he steps back. My third eye is like throbbing.
I bet. You need some water?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I need to ground myself.
Well, that was just wonderful. Really, really, I can't wait to watch the recording. I wrote a lot of stuff down, but
Yay.
a lot of amazing advice, a lot of analogies, and not a lot of imagery. So I am like a visual person. So they just painted this beautiful picture, and I could feel him and all of the powerful
Mm.
angels around. It was
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. 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 Big shoulders. I remember in my early youth when shoulder pads were a big thing, you know, in all your clothes, and that's kind of what it felt like. As I had like shoulder pads on of the football kind.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Great.
it's awesome. I even have like this heaviness in my neck and shoulders right now
Ah,
too.
ah, ah. Interesting.
I'm feeling it with you,
Yeah.
the heaviness.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that was good.
Yeah, it was really great.
I'm
Yeah,
curious to know, what next week's topic is going to be.
I know. It's kind of
Yeah,
surprising.
yeah.
They don't really tell me anything until the day off, and then it changes from what I was thinking about. So I think I'm going to quit asking until the day
Yeah,
before.
really. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and thank you, Michelle, for being here with me, and for both of us to be able to do this and grow from it and practice more and bring in whatever it is that we need to bring in. So may our lights just shine brightly.
Yes. Great to be here with you, Donna.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Shall I see you next week?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
let's do it again.
okay.
Same time, same
Perfect.
place, huh?
All right. And encourage the viewers to like, share, and subscribe. Woo!
Yeah,
Got that out.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.